I do vividly remember being like 4 years old, maybe probably younger, and standing in front of like one of Dad's kind of homemade big speakers and like literally feeling the bass against me and just really enjoying it, just walking up to it and being like, whoa. Hey, so my name is Silas, commonly known as Silecta. I go by Eclecticist when I'm on deck. I am one of those guys who likes to consider himself a general creative. I DJ, I present radio shows, I produce radio shows, and I produce podcasts. The word eclectic essentially means taking the best from a series of things and kind of contextualizing that into one thing. I guess that sums up me and generally what I'm into. It's kind of on the cusp of loads of different things, and I like to think it's the best of those things put into one project. Got into music because it was literally all around me growing up. So my dad was part of a sound system back in the day. He was a Rastafarian guy, so he lived in a time when not only was it something to do, it felt like the only thing to do in terms of expressing yourself and kind of finding your identity and finding your community. I was lucky enough to be handed down some of his equipment, and from the age of about maybe 9, I guess I just started playing with mixers and rack mount CD players and trying to DJ with them. I remember the first time I felt like there was a real intention, rather than it just being something I'm playing about with or hearing. The first time I kind of recognized this is actually something I'm doing was probably at the age of about 14. I started rapping, like MCing. Grime was becoming a thing, and a couple of years later I got sort of signed to a little label called Pbat. There was a guy called Joe Porter who ran the label and basically played every instrument known to man, and he kind of helped me turn 16 bars, just lyrics about anything, into songs and verses. We put together an EP. I worked with a few other artists, a few singers, got a 7-piece band. We had trumpet, trombone, guitar, bass, keys, drums, all of that. Did a few gigs, had a great time, but then in hindsight realised all of it was just a bit cheesy and corny. And I very quickly became embarrassed by like the project I'd put out, and sort of hid and found solace in DJing again. The idea of being able to kind of sit behind the music and not be judged on your face, being like judged on your actual product, felt like a lot more satisfying, a lot less vulnerable. Quite naturally, I guess you get influenced by new people constantly. In a musical sense, I definitely remember Kano being almost like a be all and end all to me. Like, I was rapping a lot when I was young, and I idolized him so much that I just wanted to be him. That must have been 2004, I think, so I must have been about 12 years old. My dad used to give me £2 a day to get lunch, and I don't know what it is, but when you're a kid you can kind of get away with not eating. So I used to just skip lunch every day, and then by the end of the week I'd saved a tenner, and I went to HMV, and I remember buying Kano's Home Sweet Home, and that was my grime bible for a long time. DJ wise, I don't really make music, or I haven't had any releases at least, so I'm kind of one of those people who massively respects the DJ who doesn't produce as well. So like Ben UFO is definitely like one of my favorite all-time DJs. One Man as well. I think what I like about the concept of like not being confined to a particular sound means you can be a bit more eclectic with it. And that is literally the reason why I call myself the eclecticist. I'm like the advocate of being eclectic. Last year I was lucky enough to be one of the winners of Pirate Prodigy 2019. I use Pirate Studios quite a lot to just practice, to record. I got an email saying, do you want to enter this competition? It didn't really give much away. It just said, enter this competition, you can win some stuff. And I thought, yeah, why not? I submitted a mix. A couple weeks later I got an email saying, oh, congratulations, you've been shortlisted. Come down, we're going to record you, do a live set. I did that in Croydon, met some of the team who were really, really cool people. They basically put up videos of all the shortlisted entries, and you had to like vote, and there was like a panel of like judges: One Man, Mr. Scruff, Jam Supernova, Plastician, and a few others. There was 3 winners: myself, Trieste, and Jay Carter. It's been a real cool experience, like just working with the team, particularly Plastician's been really, really helpful. Do a couple gigs with them. We did Boomtown, which was a real blast. Lots more to come, I hope. So I do a couple of podcasts. One's called Unfortunate Oxfordians. I grew up in Oxford. There's like a real working class, but then there's also the university, and there's a huge divide. So as a result, people from the outside looking in kind of see it as a prosperous, somewhat posh place. And I grew up in the biggest council estate in Europe. So essentially the podcast is me talking to somewhat friends of mine, or just people I know from the same place as me, who have left, gone on to do mainly creative things, and just kind of exploring their journey with regards to their identity and having to explain to people Oxford does have black people, Oxford does have a working class community, Oxford does have creatives. More to come, look out for that. I always explain radio as like a blank canvas for audio, as in an artist would take a blank canvas and paint it with a series of colours, tools, crayons, paints, whatever it may be, and make this piece of art that resonates with people. And I think it's the same with radio. You're literally given a blank canvas of audio and you can paint it with whatever you want. I love music so much so that I really pay attention to where it's coming from, what community it's part of, what it's doing for like culture. And radio is the perfect platform to kind of explore those things, to play music and also say like, yeah, this is significant because of X, Y, Z, and this comes from here, and this person made this because they felt that. And my approach to radio is I like to keep it completely seamless, essentially like a mix with like narration throughout it. You never stop on the journey. You kind of just constantly in this trance, but with guidance. As a music radio fan, definitely Benji B's show has been like a staple in my like listening habits over the years. Giles Peterson's Six Music show. I listen to my own show all the time. And I feel I can say that because I play other people's music, so it's not massively narcissistic. Everyone's gonna make what they like, so it makes sense for them to like indulge in it. The reason why I'm part of 1020 is because it's nested in Bristol, which is a place I think is really, really important to who I am. Bristol is one of those, I always say it's like big enough to have loads going on, but then small enough to have a sense of community. And you can look historically in like a music context, how important community has been to Bristol. Bristol doesn't just have like scenes of loads of people making the same music. Those people always seem to know each other and be friends and support each other. And you know, 1020 is a perfect hub to like explain that. So definitely shout out to 1020. Shout out to everyone I know in Bristol making music at the moment. Shout out my friend Chad, who's one half of Kando. Shout out the Glances guys. I'm really enjoying the music they make. Yush, Size. Shout out the Bristol scene, each and every.